I know the feeling of standing on the range, scrolling through endless launch monitor ads, and wondering if any of them will actually make a difference in your game without turning your garage into a lab. That hesitation is real, especially when you're spending a few $100s on something that promises professional-grade data, but might end up gathering dust. My goal here is to walk you through what the FlightScope Mevo Gen2 portable golf launch monitor and simulator ultimate bundle actually does in everyday practice, so you can decide if it's worth the investment or if you'd be better off putting that money toward more balls. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the Mevo Gen2 isn't just a tiny radar box you toss on the tee. It's a full-featured launch monitor paired with a front-facing camera and a hefty software suite that gives you 18 data points, a swing-by-swing video, and access to 8 E6 simulation courses. The biggest question most buyers have is whether the device lives up to the portable claim without sacrificing the accuracy you'd expect from a stationary setup. In real-world testing, the radar sensor locks onto the ball within a half-second of impact and tracks launch angle, spin, and club head speed consistently across drives and irons. That immediacy feels solid enough that you can actually use the numbers to tweak your swing on the spot, rather than waiting to upload data later. If you're a beginner who's just learning the basics of swing plane and distance control, the Mevo Gen2's built-in camera is a game-changer. The Multicam mode records your swing from a frontal view, and the software overlays the launch data directly onto the video. That visual feedback helps you see, for example, how a too steep angle of attack translates into higher spin and shorter carry. I've seen newcomers who struggled with, "Why am I not getting distance?" suddenly understand that a slight flattening of their swing path adds a few yards, just by watching the side-by-side comparison. For a hobbyist who already tracks basic stats on a phone app, the extra depth of data can feel like moving from a rough sketch to a detailed blueprint. More experienced players often ask if the Mevo Gen2 can replace a dedicated indoor simulator. The answer is nuanced. The 8 E6 courses are impressively rendered. You can play a virtual round, and the system reacts to every shot with realistic ball flight and terrain interaction. That makes the bundle a viable option for a small office or a backyard setup where you don't have space for a full launch monitor rig. However, because the sensor sits on the ground and relies on linear sight to the ball, low-light conditions like early morning or late evening practice do affect the radar's confidence. In dimly lit ranges, the device still records data, but you'll notice occasional no-signal moments, especially on slower irons. If you plan to practice after dark, you'll want a portable light source or to limit sessions to daylight hours. Battery life is another practical point. The Mevo Gen2 packs a rechargeable battery that lasts roughly 8 hours of continuous use, which covers a full day on the range, but falls short if you're planning marathon practice sessions. The charging dock is simple, just plug it in and wait a couple of hours. I've never experienced a sudden shutdown mid-swing, which gives a decent level of confidence that the data you're capturing won't be lost midway through a round. When it comes to menu navigation, the software leans toward a clean, golf-focused interface rather than a generic camera UI. You tap a few icons to switch between data, video, and simulator modes, and the system remembers your last settings, so you're not constantly reconfiguring. That said, the initial setup does require a quick calibration step where you place the device a few feet behind the ball and align the front-facing camera. The instructions are clear, but if you're not comfortable fiddling with angles, you might need a minute or two to get it perfect. Once calibrated, the menus stay out of the way, letting you focus on the swing. Now, who should skip this bundle? If you're a casual golfer who only hits a few balls a week and doesn't care about detailed swing metrics, you might find the price tag hard to justify. The system's strengths, detailed data, video integration, and virtual courses are most valuable when you're willing to spend time analyzing that information. Also, if you already own a high-end launch monitor like a TrackMan or Foresight Sports GC Quad, the Mevo Gen2's data accuracy, while solid for its class, won't match the precision of those enterprise solutions. In that case, the bundle's biggest draw, its portability, and the included simulator might not be enough to warrant another purchase. On the flip side, the sweet spot is the serious hobbyist and the working creator who wants credible data without a permanent installation. If you travel to different courses, practice on a small balcony, or produce swing analysis videos for YouTube, The front-facing camera combined with the data overlay gives you content ready to upload in minutes. I've seen creators use the Mevo Gen2